Hello and welcome to episode 257 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
Um, and we're doing some current events. Not a huge amount of new cards or I don't think we want to talk about the RC. So we are going to
Yeah.
talk about our soulless corporate overlords at Hasbro.
You're fired.
You're fine, exactly, dude. Not enough beans. Get out
You're
of here.
fired.
You're fired. Get out of here, bro. More beans. So we're
Yeah.
going to talk about the layoffs and then maybe some tournament prep stuff that we will revisit. Um,
Man, it's been a while since we did any of that, huh?
yeah, but there was an uproar
Yeah.
on
If we
social
get to
media.
it,
If we get to
we'll
it, we'll
talk
see.
about it a little bit.
So if you want to reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, all that stuff is in the description. This would be a good time if you have year in review kind of
hmm
things that you want us to touch on. We should maybe be thinking about card of the year,
Oh
story of
yeah,
the year, because it's almost the end of the year.
it is.
Yeah, super close to the end of the year. I guess we get
Whew.
one more episode.
Yeah, one more show before 2024.
Yeah, before
And
5 years
that's
of this.
the day after Christmas we record that, right?
Oh man, you're right. Jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, if you have any ideas for that, things you want us to talk about, please let us know.
Yeah, hit us up. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is our TCG player affiliate link, casualtryhard.com/TCG. Surf on over to TCG player using that link, and anything you purchase will help to support the show. Doesn't cost you guys anything extra and really helps us out. So we'd appreciate it if you used it. The other way you can support us is directly through patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. That's where you can find us on Patreon. Patrons get access to our show notes, complete with cartoons this week, thanks to Brian.
Yeah.
Patrons also get access to our pre-show. It's around about another hour's worth of content out of us, completely off the cuff, unedited, unscripted. It's just kind of us catching up before the show every week. And when I have stuff to send out to you guys, you get put on my mailing list.
Yeah.
If any of that sounds good to you, or if you just want to support the show, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. You can chip a couple bucks in and help keep the show going.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks
All
to
right.
all our patrons.
Yes. Thank you very much. So, we are going to be talking the fact that Hasbro announced a round of layoffs exactly 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, that's unfortunate timing. Or is it? Is there a reason to lay somebody off right before Christmas? Or is that just soulless corporation?
I think that Solus Corporation slash it's far enough from Christmas that you don't look like a complete and total terrible monster, but
I'd
close,
argue against that.
but close enough to Christmas that people have a lot of stuff going on
Yeah.
and it'll kind of blow over. So I think the closer you get to Christmas, the more likely it is that people will forget because they've got other stuff going on. But
Yeah.
the more likely they are to remember because you canned people on the 24th,
Yeah.
right? So this might be I am sure there has been a study and there's an optimal day for
Yeah.
layoffs.
And it's 2 weeks before Christmas.
Maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas.
The only thing I could think of is that, in the 5 years we've been doing this show now, we have always said there's a content lull
Yeah.
in December because nobody's working at Wizards of the Coast in December. So maybe that was the last day before year end vacations, holidays,
Yeah.
whatever.
Or at the end of that week, so it gave
Yeah.
people time. Or maybe you're right. Maybe it was they sent it out and then someone came to your office and was like, get your stuff.
Yeah.
Or like that Friday, they like sent everyone the emails.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, all right, get your stuff, get out. So it
Yeah.
could have been very much like, hey, yeah, like the next 2 weeks we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So just have your stuff cleaned out on your way out the door. On your way out the door for the holiday.
Yeah. We'll have security to escort you.
Exactly.
Make sure you don't take the dragon on your way out.
Exactly. Did you pay for that miniature?
How about that spin down?
Do you have a receipt?
Yeah.
So we talked about this in the pre-show a little bit last week, but on the 11th, Hasbro announced they're laying off 1,100 employees.
And this is on top of like 800 or 900 that were laid off earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm. So this amounts to 20% of their workforce being laid off. So 10,000 people apparently worked for Hasbro January 1, 2023, and now 8,000 people work for Hasbro. Or some of the layoffs are like being phased, where like they're gonna be let go for the next few weeks or months. Like it wasn't just like a hard, but there are 20,000 people who know they are no longer, or there's 2,000 people that either don't work for Hasbro or know that they are not going to be working for Hasbro in the very near future.
Now, some of these I think I also saw weren't like technically layoffs. They were like early retirement packages that were offered.
Yeah, they were. They did the same thing when they like furloughed people and like tried to get people to leave during the pandemic. Where at the university I'm at, where they were like, hey, like you can retire like early and we'll give you most of your benefits or all of your benefits just so we don't have to pay you anymore. So I'm sure that some of it was like, hey, like you can kind of see the end. How about we just get there faster?
Right.
Because I'm sure that the salary line on the ledger is a different line than the retirement line.
Yeah.
And so
different buckets,
or, whatever, like, oh, we like, pay some other company that does this so it doesn't come out of our like line or whatever. So, yeah. So from an article I've read, one of which had like actual names of people that like tweeted out, it looks like about 20 people from Wizards of the Coast were laid off. Mm-hmm. There was apparently the person in charge of who was running the entire Universes Beyond thing.
Yeah, I forget what her name was, but yeah, she was let go for some reason. Like that doesn't make. I'm not going to say I'm sad about it because I'm still not on board with Universes Beyond, but from my understanding, Lord of the Rings was like the best-selling set ever.
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to watch that prof video that I sent. That's what
I've been a little busy lately.
I understand. But that's what he had mentioned when I watched it yesterday was like, regardless of what you think about Universes Beyond as like what it's doing to the game, what it's doing, in terms of like, kind of messing up Magic. In terms of like dollars, it's wildly successful.
Right.
So why are we getting rid of someone who managed something that is wildly successful?
Right.
Larian recently, I don't know if it was today, like after the layoffs, but Larian, the studio that made Baldur's Gate 3, I've seen this multiple places too. Apparently, there is no one left at Wizards of the Coast that was in the initial meetings 5 years ago with Larian about Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow.
So the people that were like, make a wildly successful video game for us, Larian. We're cool if you do this. We're cool if you do that. Like, kind of like told them, like, yeah, you can do your thing. No one from those initial meetings is still there.
I mean, that doesn't 100% mean that they were all laid off, though, right?
No,
like there's a bunch of reasons why people wouldn't still be there.
More along the lines of, right, like, there's not that continuity, right? The people, like, if you were part of making this wildly successful thing, one would think that there'd be a desire from the company to keep you. Right. Now, maybe that desire wasn't as great as the desire of another company to hire you.
They also might not think it's repeatable. Like it was kind of a breakout success, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it might not.
I don't know that it's something where you could do like the new Baldur's Gate and have it be equally as successful.
Baldur's Gate 4.
Sure.
All right, but
Baldur's Gate 3 Part 2.
Yeah, so now 20 people out of 1,100 is really it's not a huge percentage. It is all that matters to those 20 people, right?
This is also not a comprehensive list because I know of one person that is not in this list that was an employee of Wizards of the Coast. Okay.
Well, I saw that list and then I saw like another thing where they said 20. But whatever the number is, right? I don't want to like minimize it and be like, well, that's not that many people. It's a crap ton of people if it's you.
Yeah.
But why on earth are you taking the only part of your business that makes you any money and cutting people from it? Like, that makes no sense.
I mean, you want me to play devil's advocate a little bit?
Sure.
Maybe all of the other cuts were made.
Yeah. Where they're like
if you have trimmed all of the fat from the entire rest of the company and there's no fat left to give and still keep like functional departments, like there's only one place left to go.
Yeah, but like,
and if they cut 20 jobs from Wizards of the Coast and what's the remainder, 10 or 1,080 jobs from like the rest of Hasbro, that's a pretty small percentage that actually came from Wizards.
It is. So the reason these cuts are being made is, get it out of your head that Hasbro is not a profitable company.
Right.
That is not the case. I'll put on my little burn capitalism hat. Or just burn this version of capitalism. I have this a little bit further down. But the way stock prices work in the U.S. is all of our stocks are worth money when they have growth, when there is profit growth. The worst thing that can happen to you is that your profits go down.
Right.
Right? Because we're only buying stocks and valuing stocks based on growth, right? No one wants to own a power company, right? Power company stocks, water companies, gas companies, those are almost always like flat lines, and then they pay you a dividend.
Right.
They're like, hey, thanks for owning our stock. For every share, we'll give you $1.
IBM is like the epitome of a dividend stock.
Right. But you don't make money in dividend stocks, or you don't make quick money in dividend stocks. Right. You make long-term money, and we just want quick money when we want to like move on to the next hot thing.
That's right. So, that's how Arena works.
Yeah. We went, where did I have it here? It was somewhere here. So Hasbro made almost $4 billion over like the last year or something. But the previous year, they made like 4.5 or like 4.9 or something.
Yeah.
And so $4 billion is less than $4.5 billion.
I'd like to think that I had a part in that.
Good on you. If you were secretly slanging a $500 million.
I didn't say that I spent that much. I just said I would like to think that I had a part in that.
Yes,
They
I
have
think.
stopped spending money with Wizards of the Coast, and part of that $500 million. Oh man, that means the layoffs are my though.
Yeah, way to go. Way to go,
What
you
a dick I
you
am.
corporatist scumbag.
Yeah.
Hey, it could be worse. Your name could be Cox. So, as in CEO Chris Cox.
Yep.
So, it's not that Hasbro isn't making money. They are just not making as much money as they had previously made.
Right.
Therefore, we have to find some way to grow our profits.
Mm-hmm.
And the in many businesses, in like I would feel like a kind of an IP idea driven business like Wizards, your biggest expense is salary.
Right.
And so that is the easiest thing for you to cut.
Yeah, it's
And
not like they have $1 million pieces of machinery.
exactly. I mean, everything's like outsourced for printing. It's not like they own
Yeah.
warehouses that they have upkeep or whatever.
Right.
So,
Well, I think they have a warehouse.
yeah,
Isn't there a warehouse in Texas or something?
I mean, they have to drop the cards off somewhere before they go to the
Yeah.
dump. So
True.
they have to hang out somewhere. So basically, during the pandemic, when we were all locked inside and just wanted to feel something,
Yep.
people were like buying toys. We had that sweet, sweet stimmy money, right?
Right.
We were buying collectibles and buying toys. And so, like, there was a spike. And then, like, that kind of continued for a little bit. And, you know, then we went through a spike of eggs being like $6 a dozen and my Oreos being $6 a bag, so we don't get those anymore.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. As we talked about in the pre-show, car insurance going up to astronomical numbers.
Home insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
you dealt with home insurance last year. You had to get a new policy because your company dropped you, right?
Yeah. So it's just all of this, all of these increased costs. And like, so where do you cut back on it? You're like, well, I don't need like, you know, an Optimus Prime action figure. I don't need a bunch of magic cards.
Yeah.
Right. So you pull back on those things. And so they're making money hand over fist, but not as much as they did before.
Right.
And so we went from bored, flush, not flush with cash, but when life gets pared down to you go to work or you work from your house,
Mm-hmm.
and then the only place you're allowed to go is home,
Right.
right? It really cuts out like extraneous stuff, gas, eating out,
Mhm.
right? Your toddler just doesn't ask to go to the store and wander around and buy toys.
Yeah.
Right. So
Movies, bowling alleys.
yeah,
Whatever.
all that stuff, right? You cut all, and it's like, well, I can have little bits of nostalgia sent to me, and so we're dealing with that going away. But I don't know if this is a good place for the art director thing.
Do you know what I was
But-
referring to there?
Don't they have an ad for an art director?
So
And I know there's like a bunch of AI stuff coming up right now.
yeah, I believe I guess we might as well talk about it now because we just started to.
Yeah.
I believe the thing that I saw was that they fired the current art director as part of the layoffs.
For like Dungeons and Dragons, I think, right?
No, I think it was Magic.
Okay.
And somebody noted that within the last month there was a job posting for an art director specifically dealing with AI generated prompts or something along those lines.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Yeah, again, like,
machinery
That is-
overlords taking our jobs.
yeah, that is a way to, right, like, how much of the production of a Magic card is the commission of the art,
I would say the majority of it.
right? Like, so if they can cut that out,
Yeah.
oh my god, right? So Going back-
That's kind of an interesting. I wonder how they break that down. Do you think, like, when they're determining how much a card costs to make, do you think they separate out like actual like printing cost versus design cost? Like, are those two different numbers?
I'm sure that internally that they're like, hey, you know, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty had this much revenue.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much profit we got from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, right? And so that difference is the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, we paid this much for art, we paid this much for the design nerds, and we paid this much in production and shipping costs.
Yeah.
Right? Or they're like, here's how much it costs us to get the cards out the door, or the designs out the door. Here's how much it costs to get them printed and set out. And then that is probably broken down to like, we pay. I have no idea what the right number for a piece of art is. $5,000 for a piece?
I have no idea.
Right, whatever. We paid $5,000 a piece for 300 unique pieces of art. That was $15 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's an interesting question for you. Does that mean that a mythic technically costs more than a common because you get more mileage out of a common?
Oh,
like you print more copies of a common, so your design and art and everything else costs will go down because you're using it more than a mythic?
Oh, maybe. I don't know if it would do like a cost per card basis. Yeah. Right? They'd just be like, we made 300 game pieces and it cost us this much. Right. So that means, then you could like break it down per card or whatever. But, so like I could see where like that is the next place if you're trying to cut costs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And,
they can't piss off the printers because you got to print more cards.
Yeah. And I was going to say like the AI, is probably not going to get any more canceled than it currently is.
Oh, did you see the latest AI thing?
No, what's going on?
This is completely unrelated, super tangent, so sorry listeners. There was a Chevy dealership. I don't remember the name of the dealership and I don't remember where it was, but they hired ChatGPT to be their like concierge or whatever when you go to their website.
Okay.
And it says right on the thing, this is blah, 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 powered by ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. But I guess whoever set it up for them didn't put any restrictions on ChatGPT.
So you could just use ChatGPT through
so you could just use like full access ChatGPT in their chat window. And people like not only were just using ChatGPT in their like website interface or mm-hmm. whatever, like that was level 1, right? Is people just having free access that you would normally have to pay for. Level 2 is that they started tricking ChatGPT like you do mm-hmm. into like making legally binding contracts on behalf of the dealership.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. There was a guy that I don't know exactly how legally binding they are or whatever, but there was a guy that worked a deal for like a brand new Silverado for $1. And ChatGPT said, "Oh yeah, you show up to the dealership, we'll honor that price."
Nice.
And then there was a guy that decided he wanted to get a new car for himself and his wife, so he negotiated a buy one get one free deal.
Solid.
Yeah.
I don't know if large language models are quite ready for the prime time of taking all of our jobs and enslaving us.
Yeah.
If you can be like, hey, ChatGPT, you're let's make a deal bot. Let's go. So yeah, but like it makes sense. I mean, they just released an article on Daily MTG that was, we're not going to use AI for stuff. That was, I saw the headline today, but I do not believe them.
Yeah.
Right. They might just be being clumsy about it, but they've got someone in They've got someone in-house trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to let's not cry poor over
Mhm.
poor Hasbro, or also why would you go after anyone at WotC? Gaming in general increased its revenue by 40% in Q3. 40%. Imagine if you increased your salary by 40%. Lose my mind. I'd be like, woo!
Yeah.
Right, strippers and blow everywhere. Gavin, buy any truck you want at
Yeah.
Target. Go nuts, right?
Right, but revenue isn't profit.
Revenue is not profit. Don't worry, I got you, boo.
Okay.
So the net revenues went up
Oh, you do
from
have me. Look at this chart down here.
So net revenues in Q3 2023 was for Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming. So that's Magic, D&D, Arena, whatever, Dungeons and Dragons, cancel your burn all your books 1.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
So in Q3 423 million versus 303 million the year before.
That's pretty good.
And almost double the profit.
Yeah.
Almost double.
Yeah. That's impressive.
If you look at entertainment and corporate and other, they have little brackets around them because those are negative numbers.
Yeah.
So
real quick, go back to that profit number for just a second.
Sure.
Like that makes sense though, right? That their profit would be higher than their revenue percentage wise, because like it costs the same amount to make the, like if your money is tied up in like making or designing the thing instead of making the thing, your costs don't change relative to scale.
Effectively, yeah. Like, I mean, so imagine that a secret lair is 4 cards.
Yep.
And you charge $40 for those 4 cards.
Right.
You probably paid the artist the exact same amount of money to design those 4 cards.
I mean, you might have even paid them less, because if it's like an artist series where they get to design a whole secret lair, you probably cut them a bulk deal. Here, design us 4 cards. We'll pay you 80% of what we would have paid to design 4 cards.
Because we're going to slap your name on it and drive traffic to you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so you're selling those cards for $10 a piece that cost you the exact same amount as to make as the 15 cards, right? So your profit margin is a lot higher there,
right?
Because you're just paying for the art, and so like 4 secret layers, you make $160 in revenue for selling a $4 pack.
Yeah. For
the same amount of cardboard.
Yeah. That's not exactly what I was referring to though. Like secret lairs are a little bit different because you don't have like R&D tied up in them. Like if you're spending the money to actually like design and develop the card, the way the scale works, it doesn't cost you like
you're not paying for R&D again if you sell 200 packs versus 100 packs.
Right. And like print wise, the cost to produce 10 million cards isn't that much different than to produce 10.5 million cards or 15 million
20 million or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Basically, the more cards you sell, the smaller and smaller percentage of their cost was R&D.
Right. So you're making more money.
You're making more money. Yes, your profit margin is kind of going up.
Yeah.
But then you also have my point of you pay the same amount to make 4 secret layers is you do 1 pack.
Right. Yeah.
And you're selling it for 40 times the price.
Yeah.
Or whatever, 10 times the price.
Yeah.
Well, no, 10 times for 1, but then you sell 4 of them to sell the same number of cardboard.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it makes sense that their profits have scaled harder or a little bit harder than their
revenue,
than their costs. Yeah, than their revenue. Somehow entertainment is losing money hand over fist. At least in this quarter.
Well,
to the point where
entertainment is probably like cartoons and TV shows.
It's E1, their production company.
Okay.
So E1 produced the Baldur's Gate or the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Transformers that came out. Which, did anyone watch that movie? I have no idea.
I didn't watch the newest one.
And then there was another movie that like bombed.
Yeah.
To the point where I've read things and heard things that there could be a chance that they're looking to sell their entire like production arm. And so like the only thing, and then if you look at year to date of Wizards by the end of the third quarter was I think it was recently. It was December, not December. Gosh, end of October, like right before Christmas or right before Halloween. They'd already cleared $1 billion at WotC. Right, that is double what entertainment cleared, and half whatever consumer products is, which is like all of toys, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like, but.
I would guess so.
That is the only thing that, like, Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming was the only thing that grew,
right,
year to date. So it seems like, you know, if you want to argue that like you can't catch lightning in a bottle again for Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever, right? It seems like you would want to like try to strengthen the things, or at least leave at the same strength the parts of your business that actually keep you from being broke.
Right.
Now granted, like they are making money, but it's the only thing that is growing, right?
That's all that matters in the economy.
It's all that matters. But random TikTok creator who I follow pointed out that like and this is a corporate thing across the board, we are very focused on short-term gains. Right? You, a CEO in the United States, is concerned about the next quarterly earnings report. Right? In Japan, I've heard stories where Japanese companies have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So when they like talk about short-term planning or short-term goals, they're talking 5, 10, 20 years out.
Yeah.
Because we've been a company for 250 years.
Right.
We're thinking like long-term for us is 70 years. Right? Where here, long-term planning for the US is maybe a year, maybe 2 years, right? Like because you're like, you're like, oh my gosh, I have an earnings call that I have to make, that I have to do in 3 months.
Yeah.
And I can't say that we didn't grow our profits relative to the previous quarter again. So, again, I've got to like cut the easiest thing to cut. Like, plastic is the price of plastic. Optimus Prime molds are the price of Optimus Prime molds. But if I can make one person push the button to make the Optimus Prime figure, as opposed to having 2 people push that button, or if I can have ChatGPT push that button,
right,
then I can save myself money.
Yeah.
And I think it's all just from a Wall Street perspective. I'm sure this quarter didn't look good.
Yeah.
And so they were like, hey, we need to make it look better. Hey, remember a ways back when Finkel and friends were trying to like,
Oh yeah.
like, you should spin Wizards of the Coast out?
Yeah.
Like, they can't.
Right.
Right? Like, if they spun Wizards of the Coast out, the stock goes like straight line down.
I mean, the Hasbro stock would, but
Hasbro
if they spun Wizards out
to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Wizards would go up.
Right.
Hasbro would go down.
Right.
But how do you like how do you sell to your shareholders like, hey, we're gonna get a whole bunch of money per share to sell Wizard of the Coast, and then you're gonna be left with worthless pieces of paper. But you've got a check up front.
I mean, you do it by offering the shares to your shareholders.
Yeah, the shares of the new company, yeah. Yeah, to kind of offset it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have this thing where they have like, again, they're not making money.
Right.
Right? They are making an ungodly amount of money, but they're not growing that ungodly number.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of the issue. Now, there was a prof video that came out yesterday. Like I said, I was doing sneaky research before I knew this was going to be our topic. And he was talking about kind of comparing the situation at WotC just briefly to a situation that happened in Nintendo in like 2013, where Nintendo was having some rough times. I think that was like around the Wii U.
Okay.
That like no one liked.
Yeah.
And so the Nintendo CEO and like upper management, like executives came out and they were like, "Our bad. Sorry about that. We're all going to take like a massive pay cut so we don't have to lay anyone else. So we don't have to lay anyone off. Like we messed up the company, not the workers. Our bad." Right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you just said, though, that's the difference between corporate America and corporate Japan.
Absolutely, right? Like, at no point will there be a press conference in the United States where a CEO goes like, "I have brought shame."
Yeah.
Like, that press conference has happened in Japan.
Right.
But, so, we are not making as much money as we should.
Right.
Someone who was not laid off was CEO Chris Cox, who makes $9.44 million a year. Yeah. My dude. If you're making all those beans, you should figure out how to make the numbers go up without having to like have Morrow design 6 sets at a time.
Yeah. There's two things behind this, right? The first is that that's not how corporate America works. And
no,
like the reason that CEOs are paid this huge salary is because I don't want to make excuses for CEOs because like there's no way that anybody needs this sort of money.
Yeah. The actual answer is to why they're you froze.
Oh, I did?
Oh, for a second. There you go. You're back. You're back. But there's the McKinsey Group. Started in the 70s and the 80s consulting for corporate America. And their recommendation almost every single time was lay people off, increase CEO pay. And that's where that started, like back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. But you're right. Like, that's not how we operate.
Right.
Right? It's like, hey, this person is running this great big organization. They clearly need to be well compensated for this. Yada yada.
The other thing is, I just did the math real quick. if you take all these, well, these were bonuses or these were salaries?
That's their salaries pre-bonus. Apparently they got $20 million in bonuses recently.
Oh, okay.
On top of their base salary.
Okay. Well,
which
I didn't factor that in.
But like, whatever, $21 million, like
22.4.
22.4. Okay. Yeah.
So if you divide that by the number of jobs that were lost, you get an average salary of $20,000. Mm-hmm. So like if you were to completely strip the bonuses, it wouldn't equal the number.
This is fair. But again, from a working class point of view.
Oh yeah.
Which I've heard the idea of, there's politicians talk about the working class and stuff, and like we're supposed to put in our head like, guy who does sheetrock. As opposed
to the unworking class, the people that don't work.
Yeah. Well, the divide is truly the capital class, the people that make money off of the fact that they have money.
Yeah, or make money off of other people's money.
Yes, or other people's labor. Yeah. And then all of us who actually do something. Right? From on team, do something. Right? Because, honestly, no matter how much education I have, I still am like, I don't know, 3 paychecks from like ruin. Mm-hmm. If like they just got rid of my job.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't work anymore. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Right. Like I could not comprehend my paycheck being $9 million a year.
Right.
And I could not also comprehend coming back for year 2.
Right.
Right. Like you gave me how much?
Yep.
So I like 5% a year on this is like $500,000 a year or something. I'll figure it out. I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. Right. But like it is difficult to stomach when you have someone making $9 million mm-hmm. saying in their I should have posted the letter.
Yeah.
Their letter. Well, for us to grow, we first have to become lean.
Yeah.
And it's like, my dude, you want to talk about being lean? You make $9 million a year.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're going hungry if you make $1 million a year.
Right.
Right. If you were like, you know what? I want us to be leaner. I'm going to take a pay cut and maybe I'll only lay off 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, I'll take a pay cut so we can keep the 20 people or the 30 people at Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
Since like I used to run that division and I might know some of these people.
Yeah.
And I would kind of feel bad. And like I'll make $4 million a year so these 20 people can keep their job or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Or whatever it needs to be. Right? But you've got him, you've got the CFO who makes $6.6 million, you've got the CEO of WotC, he's making $7 million a year, basically. Right? Like it's hard to hear someone say we need to be lean so we can become more profitable. Mm-hmm. And like they make $9 million a year.
Right.
So again, like from a like guy who gets a paycheck point of view, like come on. Really. Yeah. And like we were saying, like this is not a WotC thing, right? Like think about all the tech companies that now a lot of them may have like overhired during the pandemic when like things were good. But like all the companies recently that have been like doing layoffs and like slashing stuff, it stings more because like many of the things that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast make are things that like people have tied their identity to.
Right.
Pretty strongly. Let that be like I'm the biggest Transformers fan in the world, and I have Transformers all over my house.
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony.
You get the bronies.
Or to again, I have Magic cards randomly on a desk.
Yep.
right? Like, on some level, you feel some sort of community with the people that are let go,
Yeah.
and you're just like, it's frustrating when the thing is that the line must always go to the right and up,
Yeah.
and like the line still being $4 billion above zero is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I often, again, put my little like burn the corporations hat on. Right, when there's talk about increasing pay, I always feel like, and they're like, well, they have to pass the cost on the consumers if they pay their people more. It's like, but that assumes that corporate profits always have to be increasing.
Right.
Right? Like, if Wizard of the Coast made $1 billion or $3 billion a year from now to the end of time, they would still be a wildly profitable company
Mm-hmm.
that would exist in perpetuity, right? It would be fine, but the system is broken that it has to go up, right? Like, if Walmart made $100 billion a year forever and like paid people better, it would be fine. They wouldn't go out of business. But it's like, well, no, we made $100 billion this year. Our goal is to make 130 next year.
Yeah.
So that means we've got to like fire some people, right? And the same thing here is like, hey, like, look, we know we have had 3 somewhat unpaid interns running Arena, but could we do it with 2? And it's like,
Fire the unpaid interns.
yeah, but it's like, but this is what's making you money. Shouldn't you want to have 5 people run it so they can make it work better and like it can make you more money?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, we can save. That might take 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But we can save the money on the one unpaid intern today. So we are going to do that now.
Yeah.
So it is sad. It is, bad for the people that got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, the optics are just bad.
Yeah, super bad. Do you know who the one person I was referring to was that wasn't on your list that I know
No.
of?
No.
Cheon.
Cheon got laid off?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this.
I saw it on X.
Really?
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep.
Are
you looking it up?
I am. That's wild. What I wonder.
It's weird though, because like the 2 articles you linked are very much from Finance World, right?
Yes.
They're not from
Gaming World, no.
Right, Gaming World, Nerd Culture, whatever you want to call it. So it makes sense that both of those articles only listed people that were part of corporate operations in Wizards of the Coast, and didn't.
Yeah, I didn't go looking for specific names. I wonder if former talent manager, producer, and Pro Tour caster at WotC.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I was one of the many that were. But I may fire up the stream over New Year. Yeah, I figured that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
If I were him, I would, dust off the streaming setup and be like, "Hey, LSV, I want to get in like the cube, the cube rotation, and start like getting on LSV's cube stuff and like start doing that again." I mean, it's a lot of work, but
Yep.
We like you see this with athletes a lot. You were talking in the pre-show about like people who like get money but don't like put
back into the system.
Yeah. I think because we're slowly sliding to the world outside of the Oasis from Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Right? We have as a society consistently like more so recently, paid entertainers,
Yeah.
lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
And streamers are just like one-off entertainers. YouTubers are just one-off entertainers.
Right.
And like that is a thing that we like perhaps overvalue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it comes down to like, hey, like, do you want to like be an entertainer?
Right.
But yeah, that sucks. I did not know that the Chiantar was taken down.
Yep.
That's terrible. I'm extra bummed.
Yeah.
Because like he had like I guess I don't know what his situation was with his stream, like how much of a grind it was, and like with 2 kids and all that stuff. But like he had like a reasonably successful career
Mhm.
that he like walked away from, and then it just got like the thing he moved to just got like blown up underneath him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how things were internal to Wizards either. I don't know if anybody like saw writing on the wall or
saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's again the weird corner of TikTok I'm in. It comes up a lot that like that companies want you to be loyal,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't do anything to like earn that loyalty.
Oh, you mean like your car insurance company?
But like for someone that you're working with
Yeah.
for, right? Like
your employer, yeah.
Yeah, your employer. Like you're doing you're doing a good job, no one's told you, but then like, someone above you like green lights a movie that they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they lose a bunch of money.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Oh man, we gotta fix the balance sheet." And they lay a bunch of people off, and you're like, I was not part of any of these bad decisions.
Right.
Why am I the one losing my job, Mr. Chris Cox?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yo, look, I got things to do. I got boats to buy." Right? And like one of the articles brought up the idea of like a brain drain from Wizards, that like you have other publishing houses that like have kind of like all banded together, or like that were like the Pathfinder and other like D&D like role playing systems that exist that could like take people in, or if you're, dude, we made so many beans, but then they fired my boy Brad. Yeah. Right? Why is Chad gonna stay?
Right.
If he makes you all the beans and then you fire his boy?
Yeah.
Right? Like, at some point, like, does like Gavin Verhees look around and go like, "Man, we made record profits, and they still fired Cheon? Yeah. Like, what the hell? That's wild. Like, why am I killing myself when like I could be next?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, maybe I should go do other thing. No, it is different. Like, he didn't grow up loving Pokemon,
right?
Or loving like Team Fight Vanguard or whatever the cat girl game is, right? To like just jump ship, but like you kind of have to look around and be like, so what happens if like we don't make record profits next year? Like, am I next?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're Blake, right?
Mm-hmm. You
can get yelled at by Twitch chat for any number of companies.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like it's not like, hey, like I'm only getting I only want to get yelled at from Magic nerds. Like, go get yelled at by people who play Rocket League.
Honestly, I bet you there's communities that
don't yell at people?
Wouldn't yell as much.
Yeah.
Or were nicer when they yelled.
Exactly. Blake, we know it's not you. But
Magic players are pretty toxic.
They are. But yeah, just the idea that if you treat people like this, like if they have the opportunity to leave, they will, as opposed to, I have the opportunity to leave, but I've chosen not to because of XYZ thing about the company, the culture, like where I work. And like, I think Wizards of the Coast and like by extension Hasbro has really hung its hat on. And this has been something that been known about WotC for a long time, that they pay pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right. Is that, hey, you're here to make the thing that you love.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to pay you as much.
Right.
Because you're doing this thing that you love. Again, it's very similar to teachers.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this because you love kids. It's like, I also like to eat and not to be rained on when it's raining in my bed.
Yeah.
So
not to have to
like,
walk to work.
Yeah, could we make it so I could have those things
Yeah.
and take care of the kids things? No, but you're just doing it for the kids. And like, I think there's a lot of, you're just doing it for D&D. You're part of designing this game that you love. And it's like, cool. But I would like to know that if I did a good job, that like, you know, if Chris on like, you know, the 8th floor of Hasbro HQ like screws up, that I'm not going to be out in the street.
Yeah.
And also like, you know, I know there's pressure when you're a CEO, but it's different, right? Like if you're making $90 million a year and they're like, you're fired, you're like, okay.
Okay.
I did this job for 4 years. I have $30 million. Okay.
Well, like the other thing is that when you are in the swimming pool of CEOs,
Mm-hmm.
like they bounce around.
Yes, they do. They move around.
Like,
So, like,
when you see a CEO's name somewhere, there's usually parentheses with other places they have worked. Former CEO of whatever
Exactly.
other company. Former CEO of this other company.
Right? Like you could see like, if this goes poorly here, it could be like, oh well, you ran Wizards of the Coast really well, so like some other collectibles company.
Well, so that's not really what I meant. What I meant was like being the CEO of a company isn't a permanent gig.
No.
Like they bounce from company to company.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that like, once you've been a CEO,
Yeah.
it is way more likely for you to pick up your next CEO job than it is, right, for something else. It's not like you go from like CEO, like you kind of only have like really 2 trajectories, which is you become the CEO somewhere else, right? If you did a good job at your company, you become a CEO of someplace bigger and flashier.
Right.
If you did a bad job, you become a CEO of someplace that might be like on the rocks.
Right.
Or like lower profile, but you're still getting a larger paycheck than I will ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or you're no longer a CEO and it's just like boat drinks.
Yeah. Enough money to
right.
do
Like
whatever
you've got
you
enough.
want.
And I understand that like there's like the, you know, if your peer group is a bunch of people that make $6 to $100 million a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're looking at the dude who's making $100 million going like, what does he have that I don't have?
Yeah, exactly.
But like the other 99.9% of society is looking at you with your 9 going like, dude, what's that like?
Yeah.
Right? Like you lose perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you know, you have that where, you know, where you're like, oh man, I need to be making more because Bob Iger is making what other ungodly amount of money to drive Marvel off a cliff. It's like, so what are you doing? Like, I run Disney. Oh, cool. So what have you done in the last few years? Annihilated the 2 most cash-making properties in the history of man.
I decided we needed a 4th Ant-Man movie.
What is he gonna do? He's gonna be small in space.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
There's space in everything, so that's what we're gonna do.
Exactly. We're gonna make shows like every 2 weeks because we've got to like lose money on Disney Plus more effectively.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And how much are we paying you? More money than God. Amazing. Sounds great. Perfect. I couldn't have done that any better.
Roundabouts the size of the GDP of Florida is what I'm making.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Ron better watch out because I could buy and sell him multiple times. Don't mess with the mouse. All right. So we're an hour in, but we're going to do a quick, like, magic cardboard related thing.
Okay.
Okay. So, the RC was in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess was the thing that qualified people for the Pro Tour in Chicago.
Okay. Are these still part of DreamHack?
Yes, I do believe so, yes. And, well, apparently, people couldn't buy cards at the event.
I wonder if that has anything to do with it being part of DreamHack.
I mean, it could be being part of DreamHack.
Yeah.
It could be. Are you ever able to buy uncommons that are popular? Remember Aethergust?
Yep.
Right? Veil of Summer?
Mm-hmm.
So
was it $20 Veil of Summers at that event we went to?
Something like that. Like Aethergust were 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Right. So so our first one here. So Aaron Forsyth tweeted out that, like, hey, you know, to add to the, like, card availability discourse, yeah, we know that when we made the bans, it was, like, kind of a bad time. Sorry, it had to be done.
I mean, yes and no. Like, bans happen, and, like, it's not like people didn't know that they were coming or realized that there was a problem and a possibility of a ban.
Well, that was my point here is if you care enough about an event to complain on Twitter, there's this thing called expedited shipping. Right?
True.
And when the bans happened, start buying cards you might play.
Yeah.
Right? And you didn't have 2 weeks. You had the week of, like, oh man, 4-mana colorless planeswalkers in a Pioneer are a problem.
Yeah.
Oh man, 4-mana things that cascade into win the game are kind of unfun.
Yeah.
I wonder what we're gonna ban. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Right? So you had 3 weeks.
Right.
Right? And, like, I don't know, buy some cards you might play. Like the card that came up that Todd Anderson was talking about was, like, is it Bitter Triumph?
Mm-hmm.
The one in the black, discard a thing or lose 3 life, destroy creature or planeswalker?
Yep.
Right? Right. Buy cards you might play.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like you were mentioning earlier, like, what's the price of cardboard recently?
Nothing.
Right.
It's all dirt cheap. The Bitter Triumphs are $2 on Card Kingdom right now.
Okay.
Right? But still cheaper than what they'd be at the venue.
Absolutely.
And again, if you care this much, just buy them before you go. And, like, I know there's, like, oh, well, like, I didn't set my deck list until late. You should have bought a bunch of the cards you were considering. When you, like, threw a card, if you ever, like, in your head extended sideboard, right? If you're like, oh, I think there's, like, 35 cards that could be in my sideboard. I need to figure out what they should be.
Yeah.
Buy all 35. Buy
There's
4 of each.
Like, this event was held in Atlanta.
There's a bajillion game stores around Atlanta.
There's a lot of big game stores in Atlanta. Like,
drive
you ever
around
been to Wasteland?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Like, drive around, find a place. But, like, you know, I could see the counter argument of, like, me saying, like, buy every card you could possibly think you were going to play. Right? Like, if you were like, oh man, if they ban Karn, like, I gotta test Greasefang, and I gotta test, like, 3 versions of green that might, like, that could, like, exist without Karn.
Yeah.
Buy the cards for Greasefang. Buy the, like, 12 cards that you're gonna test in mono green. Yeah. Just in case. And if your response is, oh, well, if I buy them and don't play them, I'm just wasting money. I'm going to steal a line from Krim. Welcome to Magic the Gathering Premier Card Game for ages 13 plus. You're already wasting money. You are getting on a plane, you are getting in a car, and you are driving to Atlanta, Georgia. And hotel rooms everywhere, it seems, are $400 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To not have bed bugs. I think $300 a night for bed bugs.
Yeah.
And you're wasting a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you wasted like $70 on like green mythics you didn't end up playing because you played Greasefang instead, sell them for $35 and take the L.
Yeah.
Right? If it's that
Skip
important, yeah. If it's that important to you, like risk the $35.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like you flew someplace to battle 600 other people for the chance to spend money and fly to another place.
For sure.
Right? Like
it's already a losing proposition.
You are losing money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Why is this the spot that you're like, I gotta really rein it in here? Yeah. I also think there's like an issue. Like I don't know who started the like I can't get cards Discord or discourse on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of pros that don't actually own any cards.
Oh yeah.
Right? That like rely on like the kindness of strangers and like buying stuff like at the event hall. That's on you, dog.
Well, right? So like not to specifically call anybody out, but and not that he's ever going to listen to this show, but I'm going to kind of call somebody out.
Okay.
How many times has like Jerry T put out an SOS on Twitter that he needed something for an event, and some random dude who likes to watch him play Magic is like, "Oh yeah, I got those cards here."
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
not a friend, not somebody the guy's ever met, just like because of your celebrity status, you have people willing to throw cardboard at you to play at an event.
I mean, he actually does own some decks, but how many times has LSV like at the Pro Tour been like, "Hey, we're looking for these cards,"
right?
Like and like wandering around Barcelona, and it's like, I understand that might be harder to like if there's like 10 decks you're like realistically testing.
Yeah,
but like buy some cards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the situations are a little bit different. Like LSV looking for cards for a Pro Tour and pulling resources from like other professional Magic players and trying to build decks for their entire team where you might need, 20 copies of a single card is a little bit different than somebody posting a deck list and hoping that the plebs will bail them out. I like Jerry T. Like I didn't mean to like specifically call him out for this, but
yeah, but no, it happens. But like, so there was like this big uproar, and so one of the vendors was like, "Look, how many bitter ordeals or bitter triumphs, whatever it is, bitter triumph, am I supposed to bring?
Right?
How many can I justify bringing and selling when one tropical island or one volcanic island sells for more than all the bitter ordeals that I can bring?" Right? It costs $6,000 to $10,000 for a table at an event.
Well, that's kind of what I meant about DreamHack. Like DreamHack is a more expensive event than any Magic Con ever was, or Grand Prix or whatever. Like and I don't know how the vendors work. Does a vendor have to pay DreamHack a fee and then like whatever portion of DreamHack is Magic, like a separate fee to have a table there?
This tweet, so I have the Todd Anderson tweet that was replying to something. Look at me here. So this is Card Garden. Always in buying is so a Magic the Gathering vendor booth costs between $6,000 and $10,000 $6,000 and $10,000 USD before travel, hotel, labor, food, etc. How many copies of Bitter Triumph can I sell to make this worth bringing.
Right.
How many inti should I bring when it takes the same amount of luggage space as a volcanic island?
Yeah.
Right. And like from his point of view, and Todd Anderson was like, I mean, no disrespect to dealers who are trying to make a living. The function of dealers at a convention/tourney should be to sell Magic cards to players, and the cards they bring should respect the format of the tournament.
Well, I mean, that's just wrong, though.
It is.
Like
That is
the
not what they're
function
there
of
for.
dealers at in an event are to sell Magic cards, not to support your player, like whatever format people are randomly playing.
If I looked at you and said you are out $20,000
Yeah.
before you sell a single card, right? Because
Right.
hey, I've got like $10,000 plus airfare, plus I gotta move all this crap and ship it.
Yeah.
Plus I gotta feed my people, right? Hopefully I can like poach internet somehow,
Mm-hmm.
right? All this stuff. You're out $10,000 to $20,000, right? And you can bring a dollar card or a $600 card.
Right.
Right? It makes way more sense to bring the $600 card and hope someone sells that. Your EV on that $600 card is significantly higher than the dollar card.
Yep.
And like, I know that sucks as like, right? As a player being like, oh man, I really hope someone has whatever card. Don't. Get it. Right? Especially, you're going to Atlanta, right? You're like, Atlanta game stores. And before you go, you put orders in everywhere, and then you Uber,
right,
or whatever, to the place, and you get the cards. Right? Done and done. Right? You like plan ahead.
Yep.
You take a little bit of time and plan ahead. We've been around Magic players long enough to know that is not a thing that they do.
Correct.
But like, no, like the job of the, right, like, one of the ideas that Tandy floated was like, hey, how about, what if there was like a $5 minimum, right? Like, hey, like, you need a Bitter Triumph at the convention, you're going to pay $5 for it.
Like,
to make it more worth the vendor's while. And it's like,
right, but
it still doesn't like fix the problem.
Not at all.
And I was like, also then like, why don't you just like spend $2 a piece on them and have them like priority shipped? And that would still probably be cheaper.
Or chip in for an Uber and go down a Wasteland or Win Condition or any of the other 40 game stores in Atlanta.
Yeah. We have the internet. Like, you could just find out if they have them, order them, and go get them.
Right.
So yeah, it's a silly thing to be upset about, because like, you're upset about it because you did not plan.
Right.
I am really mad that other people did not bail me out for me not making a good plan.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, if you like, again, you walk into the building and you're like, I am down $10,000. I don't turn a profit until I sell $10,000 worth of stuff.
Well, I mean, realistically, you got to sell $20,000 or $25,000 worth of stuff to get your $10,000 back.
But like, what are you gonna do? Bring 10,000, 20,000 Bitter Triumphs?
Right.
Right. And here's the other thing. What if you're wrong?
Right. Exactly.
What if you're like, oh man, I think this is gonna be like the Bitter Triumph tournament. I'm gonna bring an entire long box of Bitter Triumphs. And mono green's still good. Right? Or someone like you've packed up all your Bitter Triumphs and someone on Magic Online plays some like random deck that has whatever. The stupid red-white Convoke deck. Right? that was like a huge deck, the last RC,
Yeah.
right? What do you mean you don't have Loxodon, whatever his name is, whatever Loxodon, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't have those? Oh crap! I didn't realize that was going to be the deck. Or Gleeful Demolition. I didn't realize I needed to bring 800 Gleeful Demolitions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Right.
You can't just bring everything.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be the tournament that I needed like 500 gifted Aetherborns. Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Like the content I watched was doing really well with Mono Black, so I grabbed all my gifted Aetherborns. I did not grab this other card. Right. Like you're in a no-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you like try to guess and you guess wrong, you've just like cut yourself off at the knees.
Right. And you can't bring
and
everything.
Like
so
you can't bring everything. And like, how right can you be?
Exactly.
Right? Like, how many bitter triumphs can you actually physically have? How many have you opened?
Mm-hmm.
And then how many you're gonna sell? Like, if you're right, do you sell 40? Do you sell 100?
Yeah.
Right. Then people would complain, right? Like, hey, I was charging $10 a bitter triumph, and people were buying them. And people, oh my god, such and such store is totally price gouging people. Like, yeah, they were. Sorry that you didn't like playing ahead.
Doesn't I thought Todd Anderson was like part owner in a game store of some sort.
He, like, one of his sponsors is one of the people he does ads read for owns a game store that he's like close with, but I don't know.
I thought he was like part owner or something. Like he should know better.
Yeah.
Whatever. Man, all sorts of trashing on the economy. Because that's basically what this boils down to too. Is
like
capitalism, economy,
like on a smaller scale. Like I will like more stand for the guy who's like busts his butt at his game store,
mm-hmm.
and like after he pays like his employees, he makes like $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, dude. It's pretty rough. You got there, right? Like more than like we made $3.5 billion and we're sad.
Yeah.
So we need to fire a bunch of people so we can make $4 billion again. Well, 4s are nicer than 3.
I meant like as far as supply and demand.
Oh yeah.
Like economics. Like that's the part that we were just talking about is your bitter triumph at an event is worth more than a bitter triumph in a box at home.
Yeah.
Regardless of which side of the equation you're on.
Yeah, but you're just in a no-win situation, right? Because like if you're right, and then you're like, wait, why am I like you're like $3 a piece, and the person like happily pays you,
mm-hmm.
and then like you're like $5,
right? And
the person hands you a 20 and walks away with 4 bitter triumphs, and you're like, how high can I go before people push back?
$20 Veil of Summers.
20, yeah, and like that is the like, hey, I am here. Mm-hmm. I did not plan. I am now paying the tax.
Right.
Right. So, I saw the AI artist tweet here.
Oh, you
all right.
It?
Yeah, about like the ad.
Yeah.
All right, so we are at like an hour 20. We should probably get out of here.
Let's call it. I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah. All right, so would we reach out to us on social media? With all that, I think we got a show. There we go.
There you go. We got a show.
We got a show. So if you'd reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Discord, Twitter. I don't know. Please don't like yell at me with your like economics degree or whatever.
You can yell at us if you want to. We just might not argue back because we don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I don't argue with people on the internet really.
Yeah.
So,
It's easier for me to say you're right. Have fun with that.
yeah. Yeah, but like reach out to us, say, hey, again, like if you have ideas for like what see in review.
Mhm.
I think we know what the Wizards of the Coast best product of the year was.
Yeah.
The lightning bolt gun.
I mean, it's the only one that got me. So
Exactly. It had to be the best.
yeah. Yeah. Hit us up if you got any show ideas for next week. If not, we'll talk to you in the new year. If you want to support the show, a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Go ahead and order your Bitter Triumphs before your event from TCG player. They'll ship them out to you, and you'll support the show at the same time. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is how you can do that. Chip a couple bucks in to support the show. In return, you get our undying love. You get access to our show notes. You get access to about another hour's worth of content out of us in the form of our pre-show. And when I have cool stuff, I look at my mailing list, which you will be a part of, and send it out to you. If any of that stuff sounds good to you, or if you just want to support the show, that's fine as well. Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is how you can do that. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Finished up just as Brian was sneezing.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.